Such a massive project, yet the bridge tilted before the scaffolding was even removed. I have no idea how this happened.
On February 15, 2025, a person in Jingzhou, Hebei province, posted a video revealing that a newly constructed bridge in Jiangling County had tilted shortly after opening to traffic. On February 16th, a representative from the Jiangling County Water Conservancy Bureau stated that the bridge had not yet undergone official inspection and was only in a trial operation phase. The official also confirmed that the bridge piers had experienced settlement issues and that remedial measures were being taken. On February 17th, the Jiangling County government responded to public concerns, stating that preliminary investigations identified the structure as an agricultural bridge under construction, with a total investment of 1.65 million yuan. The bridge was put into trial operation on February 10th. By February 11th, the construction team detected settlement at both abutments, causing partial tilting of the bridge deck. As a result, authorities immediately implemented a full closure. Meanwhile, on February 23rd, a shocking discovery in Chengdu, Sichuan province, further fueled public outrage. A video revealed that a river barrier, intended for safety, was internally filled with foam. The revelation quickly drew widespread attention, with local residents expressing shock and anger over the apparent structural negligence. It's completely hollow, all foam. Everyone, take a look. This is the river barrier. It's filled with foam. Just scratch it. What kind of construction is this? Look here. It's all foam inside. A Chinese commentator, Mr. Liu Yang, stated in a video program that the quality of public infrastructure is directly linked to citizen safety. The primary purpose of river barriers is to prevent pedestrians from accidentally falling into the water and to serve as a protective measure during floods and other natural disasters. If an accident occurs, the consequences could be disastrous. How can such a barrier provide us with a sense of safety? Behind these foam-filled barriers lies not just the problem of construction quality, but also the potential consequences of multi-level subcontracting and cost-cutting. Some construction companies, in pursuit of profit, go as far as manipulating materials, replacing solid, durable components with cheap foam to reduce costs. Such practices not only violate engineering standards, but also demonstrate a blatant disregard for public safety. On March 1st, 2025, a person filmed the Watergate construction site, pointing out that while such structures were previously built with steel mesh reinforced concrete, the current project lacked any steel reinforcement. The individual questioned whether this should be considered a tofu dreck project and speculated about possible corruption within certain departments. Infrastructure quality issues are widespread in China under the CCP's governance, often referred to as tofu dreck projects. On February 26th, another person posted a video revealing that a newly constructed highway in Kuzhou, Zhejiang province had already developed cracks and suffered roadbed collapse before even being opened to traffic. This is Gaojia town, Kuzhou, Zhejiang province. This is the highway exit leading to our village. The road hasn't even passed inspection yet, but the foundation has already sunk and cracked. Take a look, leaders. Just look at this. It's completely cracked. Everything, including this part, all split open. Everyone, take a look. This is the highway, our village's exit. Look, this is the safety barrier, which means the road hasn't even opened yet. But look at the highway foundation. It's completely cracked and collapsed. Just look here. Such a huge gap. It has already caved in. Even a tofu dreck project wouldn't be this bad. A video reveals long cracks along the edges and surface of a newly built highway in Kuzhou, Zhejiang province. The footage shows the road tilting with its foundation already collapsing. Red barriers separate the road from the main highway where vehicles can be seen passing by. In response to Chinese media, a local township government official stated that the road is a village road that has not yet opened or undergone inspection. Authorities have reportedly dispatched personnel to investigate the situation. Later, the video's uploader appeared on camera, stating that the local officials had contacted him and asked him to delete the footage. People condemned the apparent substandard construction, calling it cutting corners and emphasizing that this wasn't built by a private company. Some also referenced past disasters, commenting, even the Meizhou Dabu highway collapse didn't serve as a wake-up call. On May 1st, 2024, in the early hours of the morning, a devastating road collapse occurred on the Meilong Expressway in Dabu County, Guangdong Province. According to official reports, 23 vehicles fell into the collapsed section, resulting in 52 deaths and 30 injuries. Following the incident, many raised concerns about construction quality and inadequate maintenance. But authorities classified the event merely as a disaster, sparking public outrage and dissatisfaction online. A senior bridge structure design engineer, Zhu Xieye, analyzed related information and concluded that the incident was a result of poor construction quality rather than a so-called natural disaster. He suggested that cutting corners and corruption in the subcontracting process were likely factors contributing to the failure. With a background in civil engineering, Zhu stated that he foresaw such tofu brick projects becoming widespread in China as early as a decade ago. Recently, many buildings aren't even completed, yet their walls are already cracking and basements are leaking. In a few years, you'll find that China's high-speed rail won't be able to run as fast because the tracks will no longer be straight and level. Mr. Zhu noted that after decades of rapid infrastructure development, the frequency of accidents has surged under Xi Jinping's rule. He emphasized that if these incidents were compiled together, the scale of the problem would be alarming. But due to strict information censorship, many people remain unaware of the extent of the issue. He further warned that in the coming years, China will see a wave of failures in buildings, roads, and bridges as the infrastructure built over the past 10 to 20 years begins to deteriorate. He asserted that an increasing number of accidents is inevitable. Meanwhile, in Penglai, Shandong Province, a woman shared a video revealing a large crack on a newly constructed road. She questioned how many more tofu dreg projects like this exist.
Tofu dreg project. It was just built. Look at this huge pit. Won't it collapse when there's a flood?
A video captures a Chinese heavy-duty truck trapped in a massive sinkhole caused by a road collapse. The vehicle is completely immobilized. People mocked the incident, commenting, "Foreign countries have yet to master the technology of building hollow roads like this. Not only is the road hollow, but there's not even any rebar. Cutting corners to this extent is truly a world wonder. This is supposed to be a flood barrier. If a truck can bring it down, how is it supposed to stop floods?" It's not just public infrastructure. The quality of commercial housing in China has also come under increasing scrutiny. In recent years, an increasing number of tofu dreg projects have been exposed, leaving homebuyers frustrated as they spend large sums on properties plagued by structural issues. Look at the quality of this residential complex. Just look. This is supposed to be a high-rise building. A blogger standing inside a high-rise residential unit likely kicked the balcony's iron railing, causing the welded joint to detach immediately, creating a frightening scene. A person filmed phase 1 of Haiyu Mingcheng residential complex in Hebei province. Despite being only a few years old, the basement walls crumble at a touch, with soil falling off easily. The construction is a typical tofu dreg project. That rebar is bending more and more. One person says, if the basement is like this, the safety of the entire building is completely compromised. Another commented, "You all live in the city. I'll move back to the countryside and build my own house." Recently, a video of an entire apartment building's exterior wall peeling off went viral online, with many criticizing it as yet another tofu dreg project. Some people commented, "This is insulation foam, bonded with thermal insulation mortar." It's obvious that strong spring winds blew it off while workers were repairing surface defects. The wind in northern China is very strong in spring. Another person added, "This is just the removal of the insulation layer for replacement. The actual wall structure is underneath." Someone commented, "Exterior wall insulation was first used by the Germans, but they had already phased it out completely before 2000s due to various issues." China's exterior insulation materials are not fireproof. This is something a small business owner in the industry told me. Whenever a new cost-cutting material emerges, unscrupulous businessmen try every possible way to fake it, and when problems arise, they have to take full responsibility. Someone commented, "This is an absolute joke. Only in China would people dare to live in such buildings." Someone shared a video showing a distressed homeowner exclaiming that their apartment building had become a dangerous structure as its support columns had started cracking. Another commenter remarked, quote, "Chinese housing. 70-year property rights, 30-year mortgage, 20-year lifespan?" A Chinese blogger compared construction standards in China and Japan, explaining why Japan has almost no tofu direct projects. 99% of houses in Japan are free from poor construction. There are many reasons behind this. When purchasing a pre-sale home, buyers only need to pay a minimal deposit before the handover. The full payment or mortgage application is only required after construction is completed, which prevents developers from cutting corners. Additionally, whether it's road construction or building projects, only government-certified materials can be used before any work begins. Once completed, projects must pass rigorous inspections by both the government and construction experts. Under such strict regulations, cutting corners is virtually impossible. In addition, newly built homes in Japan come with a 10-year warranty. If there are quality issues or water leakage during this period, the developer is required to provide compensation. If a developer engages in malpractice, Japanese law takes strict action, not only holding them criminally liable, but also imposing hefty fines. In severe cases, developers could face financial ruin due to compensation claims. The vlogger explained that even in the worst-case scenario of purchasing an unfinished or abandoned property, buyers in Japan don't need to panic. Government agencies step in to protect home buyers, ensuring they receive compensation and do not suffer total financial loss. Even the initial deposit is safeguarded. Many countries have a pre-sale system for real estate, where developers sell residential properties that are still under construction and not yet ready for delivery. Mainland China has implemented this pre-sale housing system for decades, originally adopting it from Hong Kong. Unfinished projects are rare in Hong Kong due to strict compliance with regulations by all involved parties, including developers, law firms, banks, and the government. In contrast, China's pre-sale system has been widely criticized as an inherently flawed system. One of its biggest drawbacks is that it has led to numerous poorly built tofu truck projects while significantly increasing homebuyers' financial risks. A real estate blogger explained that in China, developers can sell homes before they are even built, allowing them to collect funds from buyers in advance. They then use these funds to complete construction and continue purchasing new land. With money coming in so easily, developers rush construction to secure more capital, creating a cycle of high turnover. As the saying goes, slow work yields fine craftsmanship. But under such rapid turnover, how can the quality of these homes be ensured? As a result, even today, numerous homeowner rights protection incidents continue to make headlines. The pre-sale system has also led to unfinished housing projects across China. It is not uncommon for developers to abandon construction halfway through and flee with buyers' money, leaving home buyers stranded. Nomura Securities chief China economist Lu Ting recently stated that the issue in China's real estate market is not an oversupply problem, but rather that demand already exists, yet developers fail to complete construction and deliver homes as promised. Mr. Lu cited data from Country Garden, one of China's largest real estate developers, to illustrate the issue. According to the figures, 36,000 completed but unsold units, 730,000 units sold but still under construction, and 350,000 units under construction but not yet sold. This results in a ratio of about 1 to 20 to 10, highlighting the severe imbalance in the housing market. During the mortgage boycott movement in the past 2 years, Chinese economist Ren Zeping argued that the pre-sale system should be abolished. He stated, quote, "If developers don't have the money, they shouldn't build," unquote. He advocated for a cash-on-delivery system where buyers pay only upon receiving a completed home, calling it a fundamental principle. But he also admitted that implementing such a change would be extremely difficult. The CCP government has shown no signs of abandoning the pre-sale system. In several cities, pilot programs for ready-built home sales were briefly introduced but were later quietly discontinued. IPG China chief economist Bai Wenxi pointed out in an article that Beijing's main concern is the financial impact. He explained that if China switches from pre-sale to completed home sales, it would lead to a sharp decline in tax revenue from the real estate sector and a significant reduction in land sales income. This shift would also cause a contraction in real estate financing, investment, and construction activity, ultimately shrinking GDP, a scenario government wants to avoid. US-based political and economic analyst Chin Peng explained in his media program that while the US also has a pre-sale system, it operates very differently from that in China. In the US, when buying a pre-sale home, buyers only need to pay a fixed deposit after signing the contract, typically 30 to 50,000 yuan or 1% of the home price. In most cases, the deposit is 0.5 to 1% of the total price, with only a few locations requiring 10 to 20% as a down payment. Moreover, unlike in China, the deposit is not handed over to the developer or construction company. Instead, it is held by a neutral third party. Generally, the deposit is non-refundable unless the buyer fails to secure a mortgage and decides not to proceed with the purchase. He explained that in the US, it is very rare to encounter an unfinished housing project. Most pre-sales homes in the US take only 6 to 9 months from contract signing to full completion. Once the home is built, if the buyer is paying in full with cash, they will hire professionals to inspect the property before making the final payment. Any minor issues are usually resolved through communication with the builder. Mr. Chin explained that if a buyer uses a mortgage to purchase a home in the US, the bank requires the house to be 100% completed before the transaction is finalized. Additionally, banks mandate buyers to purchase title insurance and homeowners insurance before approving the loan. This ensures that at the time of property transfer, the house is fully built and move-in ready. Since developers cannot receive the majority of the payment until the home is finished, they cannot afford to leave projects unfinished. As a result, in the US, homebuyers do not have to start repaying their mortgage before their house is even built, unlike in China. Mr. Chin believes that the pre-sale housing system became problematic in China due to systemic issues. He argues that the CCP has turned itself into a stakeholder in the real estate industry, acting both as the referee and the player. Each year, the CCP government earns up to 8 trillion yuan from land sales and ultimately collects various fees and taxes that account for 70% of housing prices. This financial interest incentivizes the government to undermine fair regulations rather than enforce them. The Chinese government, state-controlled banks, and real estate developers backed by powerful officials work together, with homebuyers being the ones who suffer the most. Mr. Chin believes that the root cause of the problem is not simply whether pre-sale housing exists or not, but rather China's political system and the economic policies derived from it. As a result, merely abandoning the pre-sale model will not fundamentally solve the issue. When it comes to maintenance of commercial housing, the CCP government also shifts the responsibility onto homebuyers, rather than holding developers accountable. In August 2024, the CCP government announced a pilot program in Shanghai and 21 other cities to implement a housing inspection, housing pension fund, and housing insurance system. Regarding the housing pension fund, officials claimed that individual accounts had already been established through the collection of residential maintenance funds, and the pilot program would focus on the government setting up a public account for this purpose. The announcement sparked widespread controversy, with people questioning the source of the funds. The Ministry of Housing and Urban-Rural Development stated that the housing pension fund would not require additional payments from the public. But many people remain skeptical, as the government listed land sale revenues and local fiscal funds as sources, both of which are already under severe financial strain. American economist Huang Dawei stated that the CCP government is using this policy to increase local government revenues. He pointed out that managing the housing pension fund itself will generate interest, and there is significant rent-seeking potential in determining who handles housing insurance and inspections. He argued that the government ultimately seeks to avoid responsibility, following a pattern seen in China's pension and social security systems. Initially, these programs were fully government funded, then gradually shifted to a shared responsibility between the government and businesses, and finally, the government withdrew entirely, leaving businesses and individuals to bear the costs. In the future, when construction quality issues arise, homeowners will still have to pay out of pocket to fix them.